All right, so now that I've used Puppet Warp to get 3 different frames for shaking the head slightly while the creature is walking, and I've shown you how I can use the different assets I've cut out to create the different walk postures, then all there is to do is to combine the two. So I'm going to move these head assets that I've built up above the walk assets, like so. And then as I'm doing the walking poses, I can change the head as I see fit. So that's going to be the first pose. With the next pose, I'll turn this head on it, and it will just tip down slightly. And then on the next walking pose, I'll put that head on it, and then we'll cycle back and forth. And every once in a while, I'll open up the mouth. Let it take a quick breath. La la la, la 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 la. All right. And I guess I should bring the eye, the shaking eye. Or another eye, because I merged it already. Duplicate, shaking eye copy. So I can use that when I need to. Now when you merge layers, they take the name of the layer on top. So that's why I lost the name of my head shaking asset copy. So I'm going to fix that right now. Or copy 2 it would be. All right. So you can see how kind of planning and organization is really key to being able to control your animation in the way that you want. So that's my first frame of my walk cycle. Let's turn that all off. Now I'm going to go for my next frame. So that first frame matches this. My next frame has to match this. So let's bring that down. Beneath all of those green assets. First, there we go. First, I'm going to turn on the body. And bring it below these assets, okay? Then I'm going to turn on the legs, one by one, working from the copies, because the copies are where they last were. So make another duplicate now of this leg. This will be copy 2. I use Command J to duplicate. And I could try Puppet Warp if I want to. So I could say Edit Puppet Warp, and then just mark the joint at each end of the leg, and then just move them where I need them. Like so. So it goes from this to that. I don't think I wanted that long though. So Puppet Warp can kind of get you in trouble sometimes because it makes pretty dramatic changes. So I want to go from that. Let's see, how well did I match that first one? So I was a little short on that first one. So I want to be a little short. I'm going to give myself a little guideline for those back feet, because they're a little bit higher up than the front feet. Okay, so I make my duplicate. And I'm trying to match this frame. Make sure it's visible. So I just need to move everything back a little bit. Here's another way you can do it. Instead of moving it underneath, you can move it on top of everything. But then change your guideline frame to a multiply layer so you can see all the line work on top of it. And if that's hard to see, you can always darken it using levels. So you can see those guidelines really clearly. So I'm on my rear left leg, copy 2. And if I puppet warp it now, that should give me a lot of control. I do the joint, I do the hoof, I move the hoof down, I move the joint back, and it pivots at the pelvis the same way. So it should be okay. Let's see. Yeah, not too bad. From there to there. Works for me. Okay, next, make a duplicate of the rear right leg. JPEG. Puppet warp it. Mark it at the top, mark it at the joint, mark it at the foot. The difference here is that the foot kicks back a little bit. This maybe tilts a little forward. See how that looks. So as long as the movement isn't too severe, you can see the change in that back leg, then we're doing okay. Yep, that looks good so far. All right, now the front right leg copy, duplicate it. This one is quite a change. This leg is moving back. Let's try puppet warp again. Remember, I'm just trying to stay with those back feet on that line. Get the joints. So that middle joint moves quite a bit. That should work. And then it looks like I'll have to alter the body a little bit for that. Erase away from it a little bit more. Okay. So I'm looking for copy 2s. Copy 2s are the ones that I've completed. The ones that are just copies I need to keep working with. Duplicate it there. This leg has to come forward. Puppet warp. Pin it. Pin it. Pin it. Good. All right. I'm going to take this flower out of the body too, because that's not going to help me anywhere. All right. Now I can take off my guideline, and I can add the head in that I want. But remember, I'm going to use the first movement of the head. So there, and it's needs to move forward a tiny bit. So I'm just going to use my arrow keys And we go from that, we go from that, excuse me, to this with the head, with that first step. Okay, so turn off my guide. That's my next frame. So what do? I'm at my top layer, hold down Option, I say Layer, Merge Visible, select it all, Command A, copy, Command C, move it over to my stage, Command V, paste it in. Now I have my first 2 frames of this walking test, or this walk cycle. You can see how the gaps between their legs narrow. So that's a pretty believable movement from this to this. Now, if I wanted to make a quick animation, I can just turn off the background, or actually just leave it on to make it easy to see, and I can test my animation on the stage. You only ever test your animation on the stage for a lot of reasons. But I'm going to make frames from layers. So I want to create a frame by frame animation, make frames from layers. There's only 2 layers that matter. Get rid of this frame, but turn on the white background for both frames. And now I'm going to play it through forever, and I'm going to set a timing of 0.2 seconds. This is going to go really fast, and it's just going to look like my character is having a seizure between these 2. Okay, so 2 frames does not a walk cycle make. But it's a good way to see what things are a little weird. So the first thing that's a little weird is a little spike on that foot. I want to take care of that. And this angles down too much, so I'm going to want to warp that back up a little. But I like the way the muscles are twitching. And I like the way that the head is moving with it. That all makes sense. Very good. All right. Stop. After an animation test, we get rid of those frames. And we will come back to this, but I'll save it right now as it is. My character stage frames. And now this is walk number 2, but I need to improve it a little bit. I need to get rid of that spike. Let me turn on the white just so I can see where those things need to change. So on walk number 2, come on. There we go. I'm going to delete this layer. I don't want walk number 2. I want to build it from these assets, but I want to correct these assets which I found lacking. And it was the rear legs. This one, I needed to warp. Oh, come on. Yes, this one, I need to warp just the bottom of it a little bit. That puppet warp made that foot turn a little too much. There we go, gently tugging it. Okay, so that's better. And then the other leg has that spike on it from being closed in with this leg. So I want to fix both of those assets so future copies of them don't have that same problem. And then even that front leg, I can make that a little bit better. Now again, these are GIFs. They do not need to be perfect. But if you see a mistake or something that's easy to fix, it's going to draw attention from your narrative, go ahead and fix it. So now I have a new walk frame 2. And just like I have the guideline for those feet, I'm going to add a guideline for these feet so I don't make that mistake of tipping too low again. All right.